Hello and welcome to my weekly video blog, and today on A Vogel Talks Menopause I'm going to be talking about, does the menopause change your personality? Now if you like my tips and advice, then please subscribe and remember to hit the bell icon so you can be reminded of all the new ones coming out. So do you think that you were a confident person? Do you think that you were capable of doing everything, and you find now going through the menopause that you just want to shut yourself away? Or maybe you were always super organized and you could take care of everybody, and now you find that you're panic at the slightest little things. So in the menopause, so many things change. Our physical appearance, our emotions can change, but what we're learning as well, that our personality can change too with all the hormonal changes that are going on. Now in contemporary psychology there are 5 main personality traits, and these are the ones that I'm going to look at today, what you are and what may happen when you start to go through the menopause. So number 1 is extroversion. Try and get these right. So being extroversion, you're very sociable, you're very talkative, you're very assertive, you get on well in social surroundings. Maybe you're one of these women that love going to parties and meetings, and you're always out with your friends. What can happen here in the menopause is that you might find that you start to step back, you might find you're not comfortable being the center of attraction, you might find that you prefer solitude, that you're less sociable, that you don't want to go out anymore. Number 2 is agreeableness. So this personality trait, you're very caring, you're very trusting, you're very empowering. What can happen in this situation is that you can start to become much more selfish. You maybe get fed up caring and looking after everybody else when you're basically left to your own devices. You might find that you're more adventurous, that instead of being in caring for everybody else, you want to get out into the world and you want to start experiencing things for yourself. But there can also be a stage here when you can become less caring. You also start to distrust people a little bit more rather than taking everything at face value. Number 3 is openness. Now openness, this is for people who are very creative, who are adventurous. You may be very good artistically, or singing, or sewing. You're very much into the arts. You might find here that instead of being adventurous, you start to get fearful. One of the things that I notice happens a lot is that women start to be afraid when they're driving. They don't like motorways, and this is a very simple one, but it just shows you what can happen from being sort of confident and open to start fearing even the everyday things. You might find that you take a lot less risks, that you start to plan things, you work things out in your head rather than just jumping in and you know, having a lot of fun. You might find that you want to start thinking about things. You might find as well that you start to feel uninspired, you can't get your juices going, or you might find that your motivation completely disappears here. Number 4 is conscientiousness. Again, this is someone who's very organized, they're very thoughtful, they think about things very, very deeply, and they are goal orientated. So you'd be the type of person that does work everything out beforehand, and you look at the finished situation as well before you even start your task. What might happen here is you might find that you start putting things off, that you don't even want to start planning something because it seems so much of an ordeal, it seems too complicated. You might find you get more anxious about everything, even the simple day-to-day tasks suddenly seem insurmountable. You might find too that you fear deadlines, that you just can't get yourself together enough and focused enough to get towards that end point, whereas before, you didn't even have to blink about it. Number 5 is neuroticism. This is for those groups who tend to be sad, maybe moody. You might find that there's sort of emotional instability. You tend to jump from one emotion to the other. In this situation, in the menopause, these moods tend to be more exaggerated. So if you're already suffering from low mood and anxiety or depression, then once you start going into the menopause, then these conditions can start to get worse, or they can start to multiply. Now, there's been very few studies done on these, but I find it fascinating purely because for so many women, they can't understand why they see life differently. And a lot of it is to do with falling estrogen affecting the emotional side of us, and that can then appear through our personality traits. They can start to change. For some women, they don't realise that they've changed, and it's only until someone actually points it out to them that they might suddenly think, yes, I'm a lot more fearful, or I'm just not so enthusiastic these days. For other women, they're very much aware that they don't have the same oomph or drive that they used to have. In this situation, there isn't really any pill that you can take that's going to make this better. It's about being self-aware. It's about realizing that these things are going to happen, and that if you realize that changes are going on, you can either learn to talk about it, you can just understand that this is what's happening, and that can help you cope with the emotional changes, if you like. A lot of women will ask, will my personality go back to what it was before the menopause? We change, that the menopause changes us, physically and emotionally and mentally. And I don't think we ever go back to what we were. But the great thing is we can become someone else. We can become a new person. And what I find, especially through my own personal experience, is that I have completely changed. If you had said to me before the menopause that I would be doing filming like this, that I would be going out and jumping off mountains and exploring the world and doing live YouTube, I would have panicked uncontrollably at any of these situations. Whereas now, because I'm through the menopause, I find that my drive has increased, my energy has increased, my physical fitness has increased. So for me, everything is so much better, and I have excitement about the future. Whereas before the menopause, I was a little bit of a wallflower. I was very quiet, which you probably wouldn't believe. But I know for me, there has been a complete change, and I think probably for the better. So hopefully this has been of help for you. We would love comments if any of you feel that you have changed. Do you feel better during the menopause? Do you have more focus? What has improved for you? Or if you feel that you're struggling that little bit, then please let us know, and we can try and maybe give you some hints and suggestions to help you through this particular phase. And until then, I will look forward to seeing you next week on another edition of A. Vogel Talks Menopause.